of getting ready for accessing efficiency programs. And if your head is spinning from words like modeled and measured, Sarah can probably put some spin on it so you can start to identify what steps you need to take in order to move forward. So, Sarah, tell us about the how.
Thanks, Liz, and thank you, Keith, for walking through the programs. Learning more and more every day, which is exciting. So good afternoon. My name is Sarah Ralich. I manage the energy and construction aspects here at Action Housing. I'm going to talk a little bit about how Action Housing is approaching, quote, getting ready for the IRA, how we are getting our data in line to be ready for these programs. So next slide, please. So Action Housing is a nonprofit housing developer, owner, and manager in Western Pennsylvania, based in Pittsburgh. We are also Pennsylvania's largest weatherization provider. We also run the whole home repair program in Southwestern Pennsylvania. We have been working with other IRA programs focused on single-family solar and decarbonization as well. I'm hoping to run some of those programs in-house with our whole home repair program infrastructure. But what I am most excited about as the energy manager at Action is the programs focused on affordable multifamily housing, which is what we're talking about today. So next slide, please. I'm going to give a quick summary of our energy efficient history and kind of what we've been focusing on here in Pittsburgh. This is Uptown Lofts, which is a passive house, new construction, affordable multifamily housing building. We primarily focus on 9% LIHTC for our new construction projects, but our portfolio is full of older HUD 202s, 811s, and project-based Section 8 properties. Next slide, please. We also do historic renovations to energy efficiency, to bring out more energy efficiency to existing buildings. So this is the historic YMCA in McKeesport, Pennsylvania, which was renovated to passive house standards, and it uses the geothermal wells to supplement the HVAC equipment. Next slide, please. So we've talked a lot about the needs, so I'm not going to go too much into this, but from an owner-operator's view, the need is great, and deferred maintenance is a huge issue for us, and I suspect others on this call. And we're in the process of planning to address that, and we hope that these IRA funds are able to help us preserve our portfolio of affordable multifamily housing and across the state and country. Next slide, please. So the first step that we've taken is to analyze our portfolio and to collect the data. So data is, the foundation of measuring and advancing building performance. So we're working on benchmarking / baselining, which is basically gathering a full year of data to kind of see where your properties are now, because it's crucial to know where you are to know where you can be. We're also doing pretty in-depth asset management inspections, so we understand failing equipment, other non-energy related things that our buildings need now or are going to need in the next 5 to 10 years. So we can plan for that, and we know what buildings need investments. We can use that in our kind of algorithm for choosing buildings to participate in these programs. Interviews with property management, there's kind of the same thing. Tenants and property managers know the complaints that they get and the issues that these buildings are seeing. And then we're also, partnering with our real estate development team, planning for refinances and new construction to see how we can kind of pair these programs with that. Next slide, please. So baselining data scraping. So there are a few ways to go about benchmarking or baselining. One method is called data scraping, which is when you create an online utility account and then you kind of pair it with a program that does the data collection. So Energy Star Portfolio Manager is a popular one. That's the one that we use. And it kind of pulls the data from your utility website into Energy Star, and it will give you your total energy usage. So we like to use that. We also, most of our new construction buildings are Energy Star certified, so we use that to report our data for that program through the PHFA program. Next slide, please. We also use just old-fashioned Excel spreadsheets, because some utility companies don't talk to the online data scrapers. So we manually enter them with bills. There's more staff time, but it's just as accurate. You're getting the data into an analysis tool. Next slide, please. So the reason why we want to collect a full year of data for all of our buildings is we're really looking to calculate our site EUI, which is the energy use intensity. So it's basically the total energy usage divided by the square foot of the building. So that so it really is, it enables you to compare your portfolio by square footage, because obviously a 100-unit building is going to use more energy than a 20-unit building, but we really want to understand how they compare portfolio, so we can target buildings with a higher energy usage per square foot. And this is just an example of a calculation where I calculated the electric usage, the gas usage, converted it to kBTU, which is a common method of comparing electric and gas data, and then I'm dividing it by the square footage to come up with the EUI. So next slide, please. So benchmarking and the importance of whole building data and why it's challenging. So we want to get the whole picture of the buildings, the whole energy usage, which if it's individually metered, which most buildings are, that's including the tenant data as well. So that's challenging because it's hard to get access to the tenant bills. I mean, we work with our friends at Duquesne Light here in Western Pennsylvania. They have a data aggregation tool, which we helped design, and we helped bring it to existence, because it made it impossible to do this work without it. So they're basically they pull all the data together for you, and they give it to you as one lump sum, so there isn't any privacy concerns. You don't see any tenants individual usage. So that's a great tool to get full building data. Challenges I often face with that is sometimes utility websites malfunction, sometimes they change. Gaining access to those accounts, even if they're house accounts, sometimes a property manager who worked there 10 years ago created an account and now I don't have access to it. So it's working with the utility to get access to all those accounts. And then the tenant paid gas meters as well is often a challenge to get. I have to work with our property management team to work with tenants to get that, and signing releases and things like that. So those are kind of the reason why we need whole building data, and kind of the challenges that I've faced over the years. Next slide, please. So I wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. This is SAFE, which is a nonprofit. They created a carbon roadmap tool. Basically compares your portfolio baseline carbon emissions, and it helps you plan for the future. We are here at Action, we are in the very early stages of using this tool, so I can't speak to the outcomes yet, but we are in the data entry portion and hope to use it for more future planning. I wanted to flag it so folks can look it up. It's a download Excel spreadsheet, pretty easy to use, and it's free. Next slide, please. So basically right now, since the IRA programs, the only up and running IRA program right now is the HUD GRRP program, which you heard my colleagues speak about. We've been focusing on that because that's the one that's up and running right now. So after doing my benchmarking, and my interviews and the asset management reviews and everything, we identified Crafton Towers, which is a 103-unit apartment building in Crafton, Pennsylvania, which is right outside of Pittsburgh. It has the second highest EUI of our portfolio, but it has the most need on a deferred maintenance perspective. And we identified capital needs, plumbing and HVAC issues to make this building a good target for some investment. So the program is designed to be a very heavy lift. The HUD program is designed to be a very heavy lift. that typically requires a full retrofit and a recapitalization. So we were only able to truly handle one of these projects at a time. And unfortunately, with the very, very tight timeline of these programs, we're focusing on this one property to do this. So we hired an energy engineer to do a energy model, and we did the MBEST tool, which is basically a spreadsheet that HUD created to evaluate the building as it is today, energy model, and I'm working on the GRRP application now. And I met the contractor to get some preliminary pricing, because pricing is a big part of this in the application. You have to prove that the application can meet the requirements, and you have to prove that it's a feasible project. So that's what I'm working on, pulling all that data together now to hopefully have the application in the next couple weeks. So, TBD on whether or not this project can move forward, but we're excited about it. And we're also excited for the PHFA programs that are coming down the line, to see if we can get some dollars and upgrade some more of our properties. So that's all I have for today. Thank you.